Peace. Um, my name is Tia Keneal. I hope that you are doing well, and I hope that you have been taking care of yourself in the way that feels right and best for you. Um, I am in the process of revisiting a few yogic texts and books as I'm training someone to become a yoga trainer, a yoga teacher. So, in turn, I'm also studying and brushing up on some yoga philosophy and whatnot to be sure that I am offering the best possible teaching that I can, right? So, anyway, the book that I'm revisiting today, and I'm actually starting from the beginning, is The Secret Power of Yoga. And this is probably my favorite interpretation of the Yoga Sutras. Um, and so, since I'm starting at the very beginning, I'm in book 1, verse 1, which says, "With humility and or an open heart and mind, we embrace the sacred study of yoga." Right? With humility, an open heart and mind, we embrace the sacred study of yoga. And essentially, what this means is that before we come to a place where we're like, um, let's say, coming into our practice, which we're always in our practice, um, it's important to realize that we approach this practice, which is life, because yoga is a life practice. It is a lifestyle. So we approach this practice, this life, with an open heart and mind, right? And that is humility. And so once we do that, then we're ready to embrace the study of yoga. Um, and I think that part of the practice is about having that, coming to the practice with an open heart and mind, and um, which allows us to recognize the divine in everything that we do, right? Um, and so when we do that, then we're able to like better or experience what it's like to be more balanced, right? So like we talk about the 3 gunas in yoga, with satya, which is, or sattva. I'm horrible at Sanskrit. But essentially, that's best translated as a sense of balance. Then you have the rajas, which is reflected in activity and overactivity, perhaps taking things to the extreme. Okay. Then there's tamas, which is inactivity or being withdrawn, and that can lead to us feeling or experiencing some difficulty in focusing and acting or inertia. Okay. And so everything has these 3 elements. Everything in nature has these 3 elements. And when we feel conflict or strife or, something is off, it's because those 3 are not balanced in our lives or within us. And so, one of the ways that we can help ourselves find balance is by practicing or moving through life with an open heart and open mind, and also like I said before, recognizing the divine in everything or experiencing the divine in everything. So the author of this book, The Secret Power of Yoga, her name is Nischala Joy Devi. She actually gives an exercise which I want to practice with you all. And so this is specifically geared towards book 1, verse 1, excuse me, of the sutras. And of course, catered to her translation of the sutras. The reason that I really like this translation is because she comes with a woman's perspective. So she's more heart-led in her teaching of the sutras and less intellectually led, which I think is in alignment with like feminine energy and whatnot. So femininity. Um, so yeah, essentially she invites us to like lean into this practice of experiencing the divine in everything that we do. And she gives the example of like taking note of your daily activities, like specifically things that you don't necessarily find immediately rewarding, and then picking one of those activities to focus on and figuring out how you can transform it into a spiritual practice. And so that could be like making your bed. And I would have to say, for me, making my bed has become more of a spiritual practice, coincidentally or not coincidentally, just because it's a part of my morning ritual, and I don't move. So, okay, let me back up. When I wake up, um, I give thanks. Depending on whether or not the sun is up, I open up the curtains in my window. But I'm still not leaving the bed because my window is right by the bed. So I'm just pulling the curtains from where I'm laying or sitting on my bed. And then I do some journaling. So I write morning pages, essentially whatever comes to mind, things I have to do that day, what I'm excited about, what I'm not excited about, anxiety, dreams, if I can remember my dreams, all of that. And I always start with good morning, and then I am grateful for blank. And so I list things that I'm grateful for in that moment, and then I move through and like journal the rest of it. There's this really beautiful bird flying around. Oh my goodness. Okay, focus. So after that, I read something like a daily morning thing about creativity and writing, and then I recite my commercial, my power statement, to help affirm the life that I'm creating for myself and manifesting for myself. And then from there, I get up and I don't do anything else until I've made my bed. And I'm working on taking my time with making my bed and being more deliberate and intentional in that practice. But once I make my bed, then I move on to the rest of my morning ritual, which includes going to my altar, my ancestral altar, and honoring my ancestors, making sure I give thanks and tell them that I love them, thank them for the ways that they support me and guide me every day. And if I need like guidance on something specific, then I present that to them. I light a candle there. I place fresh water on my altar. And I may even burn a bit of incense. So, yeah, but that's all like a very deliberate, intentional practice that I have in place. And the making the bed has become very monumental for me in that, like I said, I do not move forward until that bed is made. Once that bed is made, then I move through the rest of my ritual, and then with the rest of my day. So even if I know I'm going to be taking a nap, the bed still gets made. The pillows, all of my pillows are in their place. Like, yeah. And it is very much a divine and spiritual practice for me. So I invite you to do what Nischala Joy Devi invites us to do in the book, The Secret Power of Yoga. And I'll just read through the actual exercise so that you can get a clearer picture of this practice. So she says, experiencing the divine in everything. Sit quietly and light a candle if you wish. Begin to make a mental note of your daily activities. How much of your day do you spend on simple, repetitive chores that do not feel immediately rewarding? Do you sometimes feel they are a waste of time? Begin by focusing on one of these activities, such as making the bed each morning. How can that be transformed into a spiritual practice? Can you savor the smooth feeling of linens? Can you have fun plumping the pillows? Put in some happy vibrations and feelings so that when you get into bed at night, you will have happy dreams and a deep sleep. Next, you might turn to the routine of checking voicemail, answering calls, filing papers, paying bills, washing dishes, or picking up your children from school. Notice how each aspect of your life can be inwardly transformed to bring you to a place of presence and joy. There we recognize that the divine is omnipresent. And in my notes, because I write in my books, I have finding the feel good. And so experiencing the divine in everything is essentially finding the feel good in everything that we do, even the things that are not exciting, right? They're repetitive and mundane and seemingly not that important, or are trivial to us because they're just things that we do mindlessly. And so I invite you to savor more of those moments and find the feel good in them, right? Find the divine in your experiences and see how that the changes the energy and the feeling of the day, and also begins to shift your perspective on these day-to-day activities that we get to experience. Maybe you begin to say, oh, I get to make my bed. Oh, I get to pay my bills today. I get to check my emails. I get to do this. I get to do that. Because these are opportunities for us. We have such a great honor and privilege to be here and alive. And I'm not saying we got to find the feel good in every single thing that we do, because sometimes, like, that's, I don't even know if that's possible. And there are things that are super hard, like things that we experience that are really hard for us to figure out how they could possibly feel good. My point is, though, a lot of these things that we do daily actually affect the lives that we are creating for ourselves. And we aspire to these big, audacious things without really honoring the daily so-called less significant choices that we make that bring us to the big audacious things. So yeah, as a mantra, um, I find the feel good in everything that I do. I find the feel good in everything that I do. I find the feel good in everything that I do, because everything is divine. I find the feel good in everything that I do, because everything is divine. I find the feel good in everything that I do, because everything I do is divine. I find the feel good in everything that I do, because everything that I do is divine. I find the feel good in everything that I do, because everything that I do is divine. I find the feel good in everything that I do, because everything I do is divine. I find the feel good in everything I do, because everything I do is divine. I find the feel good in everything I do, because everything I do is divine. I find the feel good in everything I do, because everything I do is divine. Taking a deep inhale through your nose, fill up the belly and lungs. Open your mouth and sigh it out. Place your hands over your heart and breathe. Let's repeat that mantra one more time. I find the feel good in everything I do because everything I do is divine. Taking another deep cleansing breath in through the nose, fill up the belly and lungs. Sigh it out. Yes. And breathe. All right. Bask in the peace, love, and ease you have cultivated for yourself during this 15 plus minute practice. Remember that you are whole and complete. You are whole and complete. You are enough. You deserve all the best things life has to offer. You have the strength, wisdom, power, and freedom to create whatever you desire. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. My name is Tia, and as always, I wish you peace, love, balance, and liberation. Peace. Take care of yourself.